Hello, family. Welcome back here again. It's another day. Since the time of Venezuela crash with America, a lot of people are asking questions upon questions. That how did America get into Venezuela in the first time? How did they manage to get into Venezuela without being struck by the air defense systems? We all know that Venezuela had a pretty well air defense systems of Russians weapons. Yeah. So people are asking, how did they manage to get into Venezuela? Now, there's a video out explaining how American soldiers use a sonic weapon to disarm Maduro guards before executing them one after the other. There's a video out there explaining how they get into Venezuela at the first time. So the USA used sonic weapons on Venezuelan soldiers before unaliving them one by one. And after that, they captured the president of Venezuela, then flee away. But don't you think this is the craziest move of America? Some of the Venezuelans who are working with the Cuban soldiers protecting Maduro says that American soldiers use sonic weapons on them, disarming them, and they are describing the symptoms as headaches, nausea, vomiting of blood before American troops get down, eliminating them one by one. It seems like 20 of American troops eliminated hundreds of them, hundreds of soldiers protecting the president without any fight back. That's what Venezuelan soldiers are saying, or some are saying. So the question is, do you think this is real, or is just a narrative being pushed out there? So normally, before American troops got into Maduro's house, it really wasn't about exchange of fire. It was literally a warfare, disabling the defense system of Maduro and shooting the bodyguards one by one because they were unable to fight. Why were they unable to fight? Because they used a special weapon on them. Let me say a mysterious weapon called the sonic weapons on these guys. That's why they were not able to fight. That's the narrative out. So let me say this confession was given out by a loyalist of Maduro and was amplified by the White House press secretary Caroline Levitt as she retweeted it on Twitter. For the matter of fact, we all know that Venezuelan defense system was disabled without any explanation or whatsoever. After some few moments, US drones came into positions and US forces came in demonstrating overwhelming firepower with precision. That's what we all saw online. Now, people in Venezuela are saying the reason why they couldn't fight is because Americans used a sonic weapon on them or mysterious weapon on them. And that sound from this weapon is an electromagnetic wave that causes nosebleeds, vomiting blood, and rendering them unable to fight the US forces. That's what happens to them. So now there is an account of what happens to the guards in Maduro's house before Maduro was picked up by the US forces. So now there's an explanation there. But what we know again is that Putin is saying that there was no bombardment, there was no war in Venezuela. But the military of Venezuela actually betrayed the president. There is a collapse within the government, within the system of Venezuela. That's what happened. There was no war. But the other thing that we are hearing right now is that Americans use sonic weapons on Venezuelans guards. It's kind of crazy. Let's listen to Putin.
Independence. It's a dependence. Secondly, it's important to understand what truly occurred in Venezuela. There was no invasion by American forces. There were no troops landing on their shores. There was no aerial bombardment. There was no actual war. There has been an internal collapse of the government's authority. Venezuelan military officials have betrayed their very own government. They handed over their president. They opened the door. When a country's army decides not to fight, when its generals surrender their own head of state, no external power, neither Russia, nor China, nor anyone, can possibly change that. Even with a defense pact, an official request is absolutely necessary. You need a state that resists. You need an army that fights. However, that was never the case. You cannot force a country to defend itself against its own betrayals.
All right, you all heard what Putin said about all these things. There were no bombardment. It's just a collapse of the system of governance. It was a betrayal from the people of Venezuela. The security forces that are in protecting the president actually failed to protect their president. That's what happened. Now, there is a narrative out there that Americans use sonic weapons on Venezuelans guards, the ones in charge of protecting the president. Let's digest this. Do you think it is real? It is the reality that is on ground, or what actually happened to the guards in Maduro's house, or it's just a narrative that Americans are trying to put out there? Because we know it is politics. In the geopolitics, there is a lot of things that comes in. Somebody has to lie. Somebody has to put some kind of narratives out there so that they will think they are the top of whatever it is. You see, What do you think about that? Just let me know how you feel about that. But let's go. Now, this is the account from the person, the loyalist of Maduro, that was retweeted by the White House press secretary. It says, "We didn't hear anything coming. We were on guard, but suddenly all our radar systems shut down without any explanation. The next thing we saw were drones, a lot of drones flying over our positions. We didn't know how to react. After those drones appeared, some helicopters arrived, but they were very few. I think barely 8 helicopters. From those helicopters, soldiers came down, but a very small number, maybe 20 men. But those men were technologically very advanced. They didn't look like anything we fought against before. At one point, they launched something. I don't know how to describe it. It was very intense sound wave. Suddenly, it felt like my head was exploding from the inside. We all started bleeding from the nose. Some were vomiting blood. We fell to the ground, unable to move. Those 20 men, without a single casualty, killed hundreds of us. We had no way to compete with their technology, with their weapon. I swear I never seen anything like it. We couldn't even stand up after that sonic weapon or whatever it is was." Alright, I hope you heard it right. The account of the loyalist of Maduro. He said that was a sonic weapon, that sound wave. Yeah, that's what happened to them. So over here we are hearing again that the United States used powerful mystery weapons during the raid to capture Nicolas Maduro, leaving Venezuelan soldiers bleeding and vomiting. And even the White House press secretary pointed it out that the weapons used is decade old. Really, so this use of this kind of weapon seems like just we are looking at just a sci-fi movie, but this isn't a sci-fi movie. That is the reality. If this narrative is true, is real, that's what happens on ground, then I think this is not a sci-fi movie, it's real. And the White House press secretary even pointed out it's decade old, so it has been there. It's now being modified by the Americans and used by the American soldiers on a sovereign nation soldiers. So this means the Venezuelan soldiers was attacked by over 100 aircraft before using the sonic electromagnetic energy on Maduro's guard and succeed in capturing Maduro. Now, what is all this all about? What we are seeing now, what is it all about? Is it an electronic warfare, as we do see in the movies, that involves the use of electromagnetic energy, radio waves, radar signals to detect, to disrupt, and to destroy an enemy ability to communicate, fight, or navigate? And if this is really the truth, then it's really shocking. I bet you it's really shocking. And it will also be like we are getting to a moment where the world at large will find difficult and things are going to happen. It's really crazy. Just listen to these guys.
There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things, especially on the low duration, the low intensity, long duration hits.
Are either of you aware of any individuals who have AHI symptoms have passed away from their ailments?
I do.
I do.
Have any of you three panelists ever seen one of these weapons?
I have seen a 1991 version of the weapon, and it looks like a satellite dish with a unit this size attached to it. And this, of course, over the years, miniaturization has been possible. Obviously, there's a limitation to how miniaturized it can be because of the antenna size, which is always related to the wave. But still, it is something that can be well contained in the trunk of a car or even a large backpack.
You know, this is crazier as we think about it, or as we thought, because if it looks like this, you just heard them, man. They say it makes people feel like they are going crazy, and the device just look like a satellite, a small satellite, maybe dish or something like that. But the work that it do is crazier, guys. If this is really true, then I think American use this. There's no doubt that all the powerful nations or countries on this planet will deny having these weapons. They also have this weapon, but just they haven't used it yet. Maybe something like that, because I can't just figure it out. Or I think the narrative is somehow there's a flaw in it, because this is crazy. This is not a fair fight. This has nothing to do with a fair fight. Let me just put it in that way. So Americans use a mysterious weapon on Venezuelans' guards, Maduro's guards, before capturing Maduro's. Then I think, what is the world witnessing? What will be the fate of the world if this continue? And do you think those who also have it, if in case some world leaders or some powerful nations also have this, they are going to try to utilize that, or they are going to try to use it in some countries? Just let me know how you feel about all this. Just drop your opinion in the comment section. And thank you for watching this channel.